Alright, guys, welcome back to Movie Battleground. Today we have two new competitors who have never debated before, but somehow they must be pretty good in debates because their movie knowledge exceeds expectations. So we have Cody Newberry and Matthew Rosa. So, Cody, do you have anything to say to your opponents? And Matthew, do you have anything to say to your opponents today?
I feel bad for Matthew. I always feel bad when you start off with in a debate show and it's 1-1. So he's going to end up being 0-1, and I hope he gets another match sometime soon so he can at least pick up his record because it's going to be a bloodbath today. I feel bad. I actually have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a great guy in this community. He's just wrong. So I'll prove that today.
Well,
Matthew.
I look forward to handing Cody an 0-1 record. Unlike his 1-0 record in Jukebox, which he definitely earned. I'm looking forward to this. I have been debating in pretty much anywhere that I debate, and so this seemed like the natural next step.
Alright then. So, first question is, what is Hollywood's best less famous sibling? And we're gonna start with Cody for this.
Okay, so I went with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Jake gets all the attention, but I think Maggie is actually a fantastic female actress that doesn't get enough recognition. And I'll prove that in the debate round because there's not a whole lot that I need to say in the openings because I don't want to give away Matthew's choice.
Alright, so we went with Maggie Gyllenhaal for that. Alright, Matthew, what do you have up against that?
I went with River Phoenix, the lesser-known brother of Joaquin Phoenix, who passed away tragically at the age of 23, and I look forward to debating why he is the best, less famous sibling.
Alright, so basically River Phoenix against Maggie Gyllenhaal. You have 5 minutes to argue, and time starts whenever you begin speaking.
Okay, let me just point this out there. Less famous, River Phoenix is more famous because he passed away. He is known, Joaquin Phoenix went off the deep end and hasn't been heard from for a couple of years. My whole viewpoint of River Phoenix is when we think of best versus Maggie, it's not really a comparison. And the reason why I state that is River Phoenix's career it wasn't able to take off. It wasn't able to, it was pretty much known of what he could have done in his later years, but we tragically lost him at 23. He has Stand By Me, and he has like a couple good hits along the way, but they're not substantial. There's nothing to thank. And Joaquin actually, in his later things, have actually surpassed his brother, I think, slightly. But I think he's the only reason he's still famous is because we lost him so young.
I disagree entirely that River Phoenix was a more famous brother because a River Phoenix movie came out in 2012 and it didn't blow up at the box office like anything Joaquin Phoenix touches. So therefore, I think that argument is moot if you were to compare the box office of Dark Blood and a movie like Her is going to win every time. I don't think this is a debate of whether or not mine is the less famous sibling. It's a debate of who is the better, less famous sibling. My answer was accepted when we were giving in our answers.
I agree. I'm not saying I'm not fighting semantics on this at all. But I'm not saying this is a box office question either of what blows up. Of course, a River Phoenix movie is not going to blow up. He hasn't been around in so many years. Sorry, not sorry. Like Paul Walker's last movie or Robin Williams, just because a death happens doesn't mean box office goes through the roof. And I'm not talking Fast 7. I'm talking about the movie that Paul was in after. But I'm saying Maggie Gyllenhaal has the way better track record of movies that she's been in. She literally saved The Dark Knight from what Katie Holmes left in Batman Begins. If you talk about Batman Begins, everybody talks about the one bad spot, and it's Katie Holmes. But guess what? They don't have any problems with Maggie Gyllenhaal in The Dark Knight because she's fantastic. She's a fantastic actress. And even when she is in a movie that's not so up to par, she sells the movie over time.
But I think you're immediately devaluing your point by bringing up that she has a better track record. Name one bad River Phoenix movie. From Explorers to The Thing Called Love, he was never in a film that was critically panned. Everything he did was a success and was a good movie. Well, not necessarily monetary success, but film-wise was a success.
I think you're totally wrong with saying that all of his movies were hits. That is totally your call, not the public's call. I don't think River Phoenix was in that many great films to be mentioned like this. Maggie Gyllenhaal was in The Dark Knight, oh dang it, adaptation, and Crazy Heart. Two movies that were nominated for Oscars. I just don't think River Phoenix has even been in the spotlight for that long of a time to be mentioned as even the best in any comparison in any of the movies. He was gone too soon. I'm sorry, that's a rough point to make, and I think you picked it for a little bit of the sympathy card, but I won't call that. But I'm saying he can't be mentioned as best. His track record was not even that long.
You see, Maggie Gyllenhaal was in 2 movies that were nominated for Oscars. River Phoenix was nominated for Oscars. And there's the difference of the type of actors or actresses that these people are. Running on Empty is a better film than anything that Maggie Gyllenhaal has ever done. And if we're comparing brothers, Jake Gyllenhaal has an amazing track record. Joaquin Phoenix, like you said, has gone off the deep end. So who is the better, less famous sibling?
I think Joaquin Phoenix has been in some great movies. You can't say that that's not the case, but again, this is not the point. Yes, he was nominated for an Oscar. Congratulations. Guess what? Crash won an Oscar. Doesn't mean anything. That entire point doesn't. I'm just saying.
Time. All right. So, very feisty argument between you guys. My God, this is gonna be tough to judge. Okay, so both of you will have your closing. We're gonna start with Matthew for this.
I think if we are going based purely on the question of who is the better, less famous sibling, the answer is River Phoenix. River Phoenix had an amazing filmography. Everything that he was in, for the most part, was amazing. My Own Private Idaho is one of my top 5 films of all time, and I will defend that to the absolute death. Maggie Gyllenhaal has not been in movies that would rank in the top 5 of many people unless your name is someone who really loved Batman. Because other than that, I think that River Phoenix was a superior actor. Despite the short amount of time he had a better conversion rate than Maggie Gyllenhaal has ever had. She was in movies like World Trade Center and Stranger Than Fiction and Nanny McPhee Returns and Hysteria. You don't have movies like that in River Phoenix's filmography. He is a better actor. He was in more films that were good. And he had way less years to accomplish said things. And of course, he's Academy Award nominated, Golden Globe nominated, Independent Spirit Award winner, National Society of Film Critics Award winner, Volpe Cup winner. These are awards that Maggie Gyllenhaal would never even be in contention for. It is unequivocally correct that River Phoenix is the superior, less famous sibling because Jake Gyllenhaal is better than Maggie ever was.
And Cody, with your closing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that he wants to throw out some of these great ones, but let's be real. He's been in some stink bombs. Look at his IMDb, and you can tell those yourself. And he literally undercut his own argument by saying that Joaquin Phoenix dropped off the face of the earth, and River Phoenix has been in these fantastic movies. So yes, River Phoenix apparently has went above his brother, and he still is above his brother because of this fact. Everybody brings up River Phoenix was gone too soon. Joaquin Phoenix got lost in wherever he went. I'm just Maggie Gyllenhaal she shows her versatility in actors by being in a bunch of different movies. I think she saved the Dark Knight movie and made it even better because it was actually an interest that Christian Bale ranked. And it doesn't matter if you're not a Batman fan or not. Dark Knight, it ranks as one of the top movies of the 2000s, hands down. There's no question about it. So at this point, I think the less famous, everybody thinks of Jake. I think Maggie does not get enough credit, and I think she's the one that gets undersold in this argument.
All right. So with that said, I mean, you guys can we can put arguments about people getting rewards and awards and accolades, but it will just be counted as facts, not argument. So yeah. I think Cody did less of that, which I see. I mean, Matthew was more reliant on finding the good that's too short of a life career life that River Phoenix had. So, I mean, Cody was able to put in more arguments about Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, with that being said, Cody takes the first point. Let's move on to the second question.
You're going to take this one, so it's okay.
And this question, I mean, very controversial to one individual in this match. So, basically, the question is, what is the most tolerable movie in the Amityville franchise? And we're going to start with Matthew for this.
All right, so I spent a lot of time scrutinizing the wording of this question, and I saw that the wording of the question is, what is the more tolerable Amityville horror movie? In which case, I am going with Amityville 2005. And I won't argue until Cody has said his answer.
Cody, I can see on your face. Your turn.
I knew when he said he had to do an attack, he was going to do semantics, so that's fantastic for me. I'm going to do actually the one that actually has some scares in it, and not a bunch of oily abs with an axe. And I'm going to say 1979's Amityville Horror.
All right, and your 5-minute argument starts when you begin speaking.
Okay, I'll take it. 1979 was actually a time in horror where it actually was scary to be there. 2005, around that part, a bunch of crap fest came out. And I'm not saying really the Amityville horror of 1979 is actually good, but my gosh, it's way better than 2005. I rewatched both of these as not a horror fan, and 2005 is the biggest joke of a horror movie I have ever seen. The only scary part of the Amityville horror is Ryan Reynolds having to chop down wood with his shirt off because he had to show everybody he worked out, and a kid hold the piece of wood with it. The sounds, I'm sorry, in the house sound like sex sounds. It's not even a horror sound. It's awful. It's off-putting. Every actor and writing in that movie was completely, I think, stoned or high while making this movie. The blood rolling down the walls in the movie looks better in 1979 than it ever did in 2005, which is sad because there is more technology available at that time. This movie is a train wreck from start to finish. Tolerable? You can't even have any fun with that. I could have been drunk watching that movie and I would have fallen asleep because that movie is hot dog shit.
See, I could not disagree with you more. If I have a bunch of friends together, and I have done this before, the Amityville Horror 2005 is an absolute romp. You're right. They do sound like sex noises. And you're right. Ryan Reynolds is overly oiled, and it is fucking hilarious. This movie is far more tolerable than Amityville 1979, because Amityville 1979 is just a bad version of a 70s horror movie. It is almost unwatchable in the modern day. I also went back and watched this. I don't know how you got through Amityville 1979, because I had to skip around that crap fest. But I could sit through every single scene of Amity 2005 laughing. And you know what? It was a question of which is more tolerable. I can tolerate Amityville 2005. I can't tolerate Amityville's 1979 because it is a bad movie that isn't funnily bad. It's just mediocre. Amityville 2005 was at least so terrible that I could get tons of enjoyment out of it.
No, incorrect. Sorry, you're wrong again. The 1979 actually had horror elements, which was the title of the movie. Yours was a walking comedy. It literally got the director. He's not directed anything worth any note ever again because guess what? The studio can't even trust him with a horror movie, which in Hollywood is the one thing that's guaranteed that you put out with a decent trailer can make money. I'm sorry. Amityville Horror 2005 is awful. Ryan Reynolds, part of the movie, gets possessed by the demons inside or whatever you want to talk it out of the brothel that the house is because that's what 2005 sounds like. And you legit, he goes into a trance for the rest of the movie because he cannot believe he's accepting a paycheck for this movie. The people in 1979 were actually fighting for an acting career. They were at least hoping that anything would go on beyond this. This should have killed so many more people. Chloe Moretz is in this movie. There are so many bad things about this movie, and the blood just pours down the wall, and the sound, and even the voices that talk to Ryan Reynolds, you can't even understand them in the movie. That means the sound editing. You're talking about hanging out with friends and spending time. You guys need to do something better with your 2 hours. Get a job. Do something with your life. Watch a good movie. This is trash.
All you keep bringing up is how 1979 was inspired and the actors were trying to make an acting career, was your exact quote. Who cares? It sucked. The question was, which is more tolerable?
It
And
didn't.
if you're going to argue that, and if you were going to argue the point that the Amityville Horror has to be a horror movie because it has the word horror in it, that is a ridiculous point to make because a movie called The Happy Time Murders just came out, and I'm pretty positive that's not a crime movie.
Fairly comparative argument, I would say fiery argument. But all right, so Cody, you get your closing first.
Yes, I did say that they are trying to get a job. They're trying to do something. The actual movie is not that bad. If you actually watch the 1979, it actually has horror elements. It did scare me a little bit because I don't like horror movies. 2005 has nothing redeeming at all. And yes, I said the horror element, but that's what you want in a horror movie. This one doesn't even have comedy written at the top of 2005, and that's what this movie is. If you're saying intolerable, I'm sorry. I don't know what you like. If you like being electroshock therapy or something like that, then that's tolerable for you. But this movie is not good in any shape of the imagination. 1979 has real horror elements. It even has a gritty look into it, which helps the horror element, especially all those old movies. And it was decent enough that made enough to bring it back in 2005 to give it a shot. But guess what? That one didn't help. And 2005 put such a hole in this one. They've been trying to release the third one for like 4 years at this point, and it keeps not getting any studios made from it. So my viewpoint is 1979 is an actual horror movie. It's tolerable. It has those horror elements that if you enjoy. 2005 is a joke fest, and Ryan Reynolds even knows it.
Cody, in your closing... Oh, sorry, what?
I'm saying you're closing.
Okay. Cody, in your closing argument, you said that the Amityville 2005 is a joke fest, and that's what I've been defending the entire time. You just keep defending my arguments. Don't talk during my closing statement. The Amityville Horror 1979, you keep saying, has horror elements. Well, if it had horror elements and it was a well-conducted horror movie, then I would understand saying that makes it a more tolerable film. But it's not a well-conducted movie. It's not well done. It's almost unwatchable. The Amityville 2005 is at least well-shot, well-produced, and it's a modern film, so I can enjoy the performances of Philip Baker Hall hamming it up, and Ryan Reynolds hamming it up, and Melissa George hamming it up. I can enjoy those performances. I can enjoy this movie as a comedy. I can enjoy it with friends like it's The Room. The Room is more tolerable to me than Citizen Kane, and the Amityville Horror 2005 is more tolerable to me than 1979's Amityville Horror. That's my personal opinion, but I think that is the opinion of the majority of people. Amityville Horror 2005 is a more acceptable and tolerable film than Amityville 1979. That was the question, not what is the better film. 79 is unequivocally the better film, but 2005 is far more tolerable. That's the end.
Well, holy shit, this has turned into a very tough situation that I have to... I mean, to repeat, the question was indeed, what is the more tolerable of the Amityville movies? Not the best, or I'm not talking about the best one. I just want to see, like, what entertainment value you could find from those shit garbage movies. So, I mean,
enough.
I think Matthew understood it more than Cody. Cody was defending, like,
But that's the thing. Like 1979 is not a bad movie.
Cody, let me speak. Okay. So Cody was basically defending more on why the movie is great and not why the movie, what entertainment value you could find from that movie. Because basically both movies are just garbage. Okay, we're talking about Amityville. We're not talking about Conjuring here.
Fair enough.
Basically,
Fair enough.
like Matthew has fairly decent argument regarding Ryan Reynolds and basically house sounding like sex noises. Basically that hits the points which I was trying to find in this question. So basically Matthew gets a point. All right. So basically the third question is, moving on from that. Third question is, which famous rapper had the best movie debut? And we're gonna go back to Cody for this, for your opening.
All right. So I did Eminem in 8 Mile. Reason why I did Eminem in 8 Mile is because I was going to go with something else. I was going to do Ice Cube and Boys in the Hood, but there's reason why I do the counter. Eminem pretty much led his own movie, actually with Heart and Emotion. So that's why I chose Eminem in 8 Mile.
Matthew?
I went with Tupac Shakur in Juice, the 1992 crime film. Yeah, I also argue that he led this film with a lot of passion and emotion, and this is going to be fun to argue.
And your 5 minutes of argument begins whenever you start speaking.
All right, I'm going to start first this time. So this is what is the best film debut for a hip-hop
Keep reading
artist.
the question. Go ahead and just defend
Now,
it. Let's go.
Tupac Shakur, right? He had a film career following Juice. He got tons of offers up until his death. Where are the other offers for other films that Marshall Mathers has received? Because I don't see any. What happened there, Cody?
Okay, yes, he didn't receive any Oscars, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to, or maybe
I said offers, not Oscars. We're not bringing up awards.
How do you know? How do you know he hasn't got it? I'm sorry, I didn't know you ran Marshall Mathers' real email and saw what he gets for offers for. I watched Juice. I'm sorry, hot take here. Tupac's not that great in it. Tupac plays himself, and he's literally himself through the entire thing. And you're right, Eminem is playing his exact self in there, but he actually leads the entire movie and carries that entire movie around. He actually shows heart and of his, because the story is actually personal to himself. Tupac, I literally rewatched some scenes today of it, and it's almost a joke of how his acting is. I don't care what you guys all believe that his acting's fantastic or he's so good and blah blah.
Excuse me.
Hot take. Sorry, facts are facts. I could. You can throw that mentality back and forth all the time, like what, who, the entire movie. I'm sorry, not makes you a good actor.
Tupac Shakur did not play himself. He played Roland Bishop.
You can call it Roland Bishop.
And if what you mean is that he played himself, then I really think you need to watch some interviews and see who the man Tupac Shakur was, as opposed to the rapper Tupac Shakur, because that is not the man that Tupac really was.
That's not my problem. That's not my problem.
I don't have to go you are showing that you do not have an understanding of who Tupac Shakur is. Marshall Mathers is playing himself. If we're going to argue that anybody played himself, it was Marshall Mathers. So if that is a negative thing, which you just said it was, then Tupac Shakur playing Roland Bishop, who is nothing like himself, means he wins this argument automatically. It is a better film debut.
Congratulations.
Juice is
last
a
time
classic.
I checked, you weren't running this thing, and last time I don't have to look into who the person was. I'm basically telling you the reason why I didn't go with Ice Cube is because it was pretty much, guess what, the same character that Bishop plays in Doughboy. That's why I didn't want to argue back to back.
Doughboy?
That's his name in Boys in the Hood. That's why I'm saying. That's why I didn't go with Ice Cube.
I thought you were saying the movie. I'm sorry.
I went with a guy that actually led the movie and took it. I'm sorry. I just didn't find anything great from him from Tupac's performance at all. Congratulations. He won. He got offers to be in other stuff. That means nothing to me at this point. I'm basically basing it on the movie itself. Do I think the overall performance of the movie 8 Mile is fantastic? No, not really. But I think Eminem's performance throughout the entire movie, from his carries of his emotions with Brittany Murphy to his mom to his rap game, all the stuff, I think is a fantastic performance, and he showed that he actually could do. Not because he didn't get another offer to play another role in another movie. He didn't want that. He just wanted to put his story out there, which he did. And I think he did a fantastic job in it.
I think one of my biggest problems with you arguing that Marshall Mathers had a better acting debut is almost all of the people who negatively reviewed the film 8 Mile complained about his performance. Now, I know that that's chalked up to facts, and so therefore it doesn't count towards my argument. I don't care. It's a fact, and it should be stated. And if that doesn't count as an argument, oh well, but it's true. Marshall Mathers plays a plank of wood. He wanted to tell his emotions and his feelings, well then he sure didn't act like it. Tupac Shakur was a part of a play about morality. That's what this truly was. It could have been a stage play and it would have had the same effect. It was about morality. It was about living in the society that you were living in. I think there is no way that Tupac was outshined in his own movie, and this wasn't Tupac's movie. It was a movie that Tupac wanted to be in, and he was given the role because he earned it. 8 Mile was handed to Marshall Mathers.
You're right. He earned it. I'm glad you were in the casting studio to know that Tupac actually earned this role either way. That's a complete bullcrap argument.
No,
you can't say that he actually.
But the 8 Mile was made. 8 Mile was made for Marshall Mathers, is the point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, 100%.
Was Juice made for Tupac Shakur?
I 100% believe that they had him in mind for the role. 100%. The same reason that Ice Cube got his shot in the movie.
You do know what year this came out, right? Tupac was not the household name that he is today.
It doesn't matter. That's not my point. Not because just because you know some we didn't. Not a lot of people knew him.
It's time.
Time. Sorry, I didn't remove the mute off. Okay, so wow, that was amazing argument. I've never seen something like that. That's feisty before. All right.
It's what happens when you put me and Matthew against each other. I knew this was going to happen.
All right, so Matthew, what were your closing?
I feel that Cody's entire argument is predicated on the fact that he is arguing that Marshall Mathers put more heart and emotion into his performance. Tupac Shakur's performance in Juice is one of the most emotional things I've ever seen, and he didn't have to actually live it in order to be able to portray the character in an emotional way. Roland Bishop is a sympathetic character that has been analyzed and studied. Spike Lee knows that it is one of his best characters and has said so himself. Roland Bishop was perfectly put to film. Marshall Mathers playing Marshall Mathers didn't impress me. Sure, there were a couple cool rap battle scenes, but Juice is about morality. It is a movie of feeling and emotions, and it's called a crime drama. I think it's more just a straight drama that happens to revolve around a crime. It is such a beautifully told story done well, and it perfectly tells how life was in the time period, in the place where it was done. 8 Mile is just a movie about some white trailer park trash trying to tell the story of when he was white trailer park trash, and the only reason anybody remembers it is Lose Yourself.
Cody, the opening.
Listen.
You're closing.
Yeah, I'm not going back through this. Eminem literally put his heart and soul on the screen. Regardless how you think of him as an actor, he had a strong impact of how this movie came out, and I think that he did a great job. He battles all these different elements in the movie, and I think it's fantastic. I will stand on record. I do think Tupac Shakur's character was anything special, anything crazy. I just think he was even overshined in that movie because I didn't think he had that big of. I don't think he added that much to the character. Throwing Spike Lee out, fantastic. Good job on that one. But guess what? Spike Lee's done some real doozies in the past. So let's not put him as the only person to think. I'm just saying, I think at the end of the day, Eminem put his heart out there, had the proper movie for his life, and he was able to portray it the best, which was the question, what is best in his debut, and I think that was the better choice.
Okay then. I mean, well, this is going to be a tough choice. Very tough choice. Because Matthew put some good arguments regarding that, basically Eminem is playing himself in a life about himself. Because I know, I basically, know a little bit about Eminem. Because even I sometimes agree to what he says about Eminem, but also Cody has some good arguments regarding, Tupac also playing himself, because I would also argue the same thing. So this is basically two rappers playing themselves in their movies. I mean, so question is, who gave the better arguments for this? Surely at this point, it's basically this 50-50 for you both. And I have to pick one, which means the other person will get pissed off and I will be kicked off this chat.
You just might not hear the end of it if you do, but it's okay.
Just let me think.
Do I need to say anything?
No. One judge. One
No,
judge.
silence, Case.
I'm making my judgment.
Case!
I'm making my judgment. Fuck. I'm sorry, Cody. Matthew has this. I'm sorry.
Yes! Yes!
I don't know why you're celebrating. That was a hands down. I knew you had it.
It could have
You're
gone
good.
either way. I mean, Matthew, if you hadn't said that, Eminem basically countered his argument that Tupac was playing himself. Had you not said that Eminem was also playing himself, you would have lost the argument. Fair and simple. But this is tough. This is very tough.
Okay, that's fair.
You ready to go to sudden death, Cody? Because this next question is going to be a doozy.
No, I think this one's the easiest question I ever had to debate.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You ready to go to sudden death, buddy?
Oh, yeah. This will be interesting.
All right, so let me just check on the question. All right, so for fourth question is with the score, Matthew at what was the score now?
2-1.
2-1. Okay, so the score 2-1. Matthew in the lead. We go on to our fourth question, which is: what comic book storyline would you like to see adapted to the big screen, ignoring the previous continuity to make the story work? For example, Logan. Matthew, you can start with your opening.
All right. I went with Doomsday Clock, which I believe is one of the best stories we have seen, and I think it could rejuvenate the DC universe, and that's what I'll start with.
All right.
Sorry.
Cody.
Sorry. I almost had to laugh through that. So with continuation, I actually did The Dark Knight Returns, which I think is actually one of the best comics, with Batman coming out of retirement. Pretty much what I want to say in my opening here is pretty much him coming out of retirement to put on the cowl one more time and to battle. So and we'll go into the thing.
Okay, two very, very nice choices. All right, your 5 minutes begin when you start speaking.
I almost think this is a joke that Matthew picked this because it has to pretty much he's always good at reading in the question. It almost has to continue on with the storyline. My thing is with the Batman going into different worlds and stuff, they're going to push off. They can make Batman come back at a later time, and that'd be okay. My biggest viewpoint with this is he picked Watchmen versus DC. I'm sorry, with the current DCU, they couldn't get 5 people on screen to work cohesively as the Justice League. There's no way in heck they can do the Watchmen and Justice League in working at all, unless this movie is going to be 6.5 hours, and that's without the director's cut. This movie would be awful. With Batman coming back, we've already seen it once with Logan. When you bring a character back, especially at an older age, and to come back and kick ass, it's a fantastic idea. And I think to see Batman come back grittier, which is great for the DCU, and a little bit more darker, which is even better for the DC or DC worlds, whatever they want to call themselves nowadays. I think it would be a fantastic choice to bring him back as putting back on the cowl one more time.
I think that that's completely ridiculous to say that they couldn't make Watchmen versus DC work. One of the biggest problems that many people had with the Justice League was the total lack of an interesting and complex villain. And if you have read Doomsday Clock, you know that it is not the Watchmen for the majority of the book series. It is Rorschach versus the DC universe. Go back and read Doomsday Clock again, buddy. It's not trying to make another team of superheroes work. It's making the return of Rorschach. So we're both doing returns. My return is just one that was way more wanted and way more aspired for and didn't already have a current series running, unlike Batman did when their series was, still running, and then Frank Miller decided to do this offshoot. Rorschach has been dead for 20 years and hasn't been touched as a character despite being one of the most beloved characters in comic history. No big deal. And him on the screen, you could even bring back the actor who played him in Zack Snyder's version. I don't even care how you do it. I think that Rorschach could be a good villain, a good foil to the Justice League that they currently have established, as they have, the jokester in Flash and the badass in Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Okay,
and that could be contrasted with the badassery of Rorschach. I don't think just another Batman story is going to somehow magically fix things. And also, do we need another Joker? God, please!
Okay, for one, I think you're really confused on this question, and it's okay. It doesn't matter who your villain is. DC can't do it right. They couldn't even do a villain right in the third.
And DC could do the Dark Knight Returns right?
No, absolutely. I think they could, because guess what? This could be a complete different... We haven't seen a solo Batman in this universe. All we saw was a Superman, a Wonder Woman, a combined DC Batman vs. Superman, which everybody says the best version was Batman, and then you gave him nothing to do in Justice League, and they couldn't make those 5 characters work whatsoever. Even with Steppenwolf, you can bring anybody you want. I'm sorry, the DCEU, I wouldn't trust them with a team-up movie to save their life at this point. The one thing you can definitely do is put a Batman movie. A solo Batman. It doesn't have to be Ben Affleck. It can be another person. I'm okay with that if they do the recast, but bring it back as a solo entity. That makes it way better of a time. If Batman was away for a long time and came back, and I get it. You're saying, oh, do we need another Joker? Guess what? A lot of the Jokers were fantastic. We had one mistake with Jared Leto, and we're hoping to not relive that anymore. I'm sorry. I think you're completely
Are you ignoring that one of the biggest plot lines of The Dark Knight Returns is Superman and the Soviet nuclear warheads? Because that would make it a team-up movie, buddy boy.
Again, you can bring a comic, but it's all how you adapt it to the screen. So I'm sorry, you're looking into it and trying to make a better counter.
So you're saying that in a story that has a ton of Superman and Carrie Kelly and other important characters, you're going to cut it out and focus explicitly on the Batman parts, because then you don't have a story. You're just making an independent Batman film. It has nothing to do with The Dark Knight Returns at that point.
Yes, it is. He's literally returning out of retirement. That's literally the whole point. What you think is, now you're counterbalancing and looking up what you can to try to counteract, but you realize you picked up the wrong one because you decided to do a team-up movie that they just failed on.
I wholeheartedly disagree. No. Even if you say that they failed miserably at Justice League, which I don't think they did. I think it's a perfectly fine movie, and I will watch it.
Wrong.
Time. You can just, go meet each other in the ring and just fight it out for this.
We're going to have a Logan Paul KSI fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that, actually.
As long as it's not in China.
Anyways, so you're closing, Matthew. Go on.
No, it'd be Cody. I closed first last time.
Oh, okay. Cody, you do it.
Okay, so the whole thing is when you take a comic book onto it, you adapt it. Guess what? They did Civil War in the MCU, and it wasn't so many team-up. It was against the breakup between the two. So my whole thing with The Dark Knight Returns, he's out of retirement, he comes back, he puts the cowl on one more time, and he kicks butt. Same with Logan, same fantastic, same gritty. I think I can trust DC with a solo movie because they did great with Wonder Woman, and they have a shot to do, they have an okay Batman right now with Ben Affleck if they give him the right material to work with. Even if you cast somebody else, I'm even okay with that. I'm sorry, but I think that if you do a team-up movie after a team-up movie to work with the story, even if you're saying it's not a team-up and you're just saying they're not on it for more, you're still having the DC there, and they have to team up, which we just proved that's terrible. I don't want to see another movie with orange everywhere and them fighting another villain. I think they're not trusted enough with a team up. I don't even think they're trusted with almost a duo. I'm just saying, I like the idea of the returning of the Dark Knight out of retirement to kick ass one more time, and I think that's the perfect step for the DC to work in next.
Matthew, we're closing.
I think that you could perfectly do this film. Rorschach coming back from the dead is a better story than Bruce Wayne coming back from retirement. I think Rorschach coming back into existence after years and years of absence, finally returning and metamorphosizing and becoming Rorschach again, and then getting locked in Arkham. You could go into Arkham. What an amazing thing that Batman fans have wanted for so long. You could even make it a Rorschach standalone if you desperately wanted to, because you have such a big problem with team-up. But I think this film works as a team-up film. This film works. You could have Batman, Superman, The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg going up against Rorschach, who could just destroy all of them with the flick of a finger. It is a better story than The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns is something that we've seen 1,000 times. in comics and cartoons. We've seen plenty of adaptations of it. There's never been an adaptation of Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock is something that, if brought to the screen, could be done so well. It would be one of the best, if not the best, DCEU film, and would revitalize that universe.
Oh, you're talking straight out your ass.
Boy, this is very tough. You guys are making my life harder than it is, actually.
It's Justice League 2. Oh, God.
This is not a tough decision, Subraf, for the record.
Thanks.
It is. I mean, I'm a DC fan. I'm a hardcore DC fan.
Yeah, fair enough. I am too, if they do it.
And I thought the Joker was fine. Okay, Jared Leto did not have his chance.
All right, I'm going to leave the call now.
Aside.
Matt, congratulations. You win by TKO.
Okay. I'm just going to base it on this. I'm just going to try to be as unbiased as I can.
I always like when a judge says he's going to try to be anti-biased. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Because you both have DC comics in it. You could have Marvel against DC.
Marvel does their stuff right. DC does not.
Alright. Okay, so basically I like both of your choices, and basically you guys did pitch a very decent enough movie for me to see, but I mean, after seeing Justice League, they did not have it worked out for them, to be honest. So for me, seeing a team up movie would be the last thing I wanted to see. So Cody gets this.
He knew it. I knew you'd win Tupac, and I absolutely knew that I could win this one. Okay.
Right. Moving into the speed round. Basically, the first speed round is which is the better sci-fi action movie, Aliens or Predator?
Aliens. Already did it.
Nope, I beat you, sucker.
What? I said Aliens.
I heard Cody earlier.
Thank you.
Cody's here.
What? Fine. I'll take Predator. I don't mind it.
Good luck.
All right.
Ready?
30 seconds for you. We're going to start with Matthew for this. 30 seconds.
No, you have to start with Cody because he said his answer first. That's the rules.
It's okay. I'm okay with starting. Okay. Okay.
30
Aliens
seconds when you begin speaking. Wait, sorry. 30 seconds
You're
when
fine.
you begin speaking.
Okay, Aliens is the way better sci-fi movie. It literally took the movie from a horror genre into a kick-ass action movie. Sigourney Weaver is a fantastic. This is literally that arched her into the heroine of the action movie. Predator is okay, but it doesn't. The effects don't hold up. Nothing does that. But Aliens is one of those movies you keep going back to, and you hold strong as the sci-fi cornerstones in the movie. Some people don't even like Alien, but they absolutely love Aliens because of what it did to the franchise and actually launched it. If they could have kept it going, it would have been fantastic. But Predator was just a joke. So I think Predator is actually laughable because it's got Arnold in it.
Time. Matthew, when you begin speaking.
I think that Aliens kind of loses everything that made the original Alien really interesting. It was an interesting science fiction horror film, and they abandoned those aspects in order to make an action film. Predator still has some of that interesting aspect of the mystery and the intrigue of its villain. Therefore, I think it is a better science fiction film. I am more interested in the science fiction aspects of Predator. I think it is a better science fiction film, not a better film overall. Aliens is just a straight action movie. You could have swapped them out for Russians, and the movie still probably would have worked.
You still have actually 10 seconds, but
I don't care. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so Cody, with your 15-second rebuttal when you start speaking.
I honestly think Aliens improved on Alien. I think Aliens was actually a fun action movie. It also has one of my favorite quotes of all time is "Get away from her, you bitch." It's fantastic. Arnold Schwarzenegger is just one. It's all of his action movies. They have they're shoddy special effects. Aliens is through and through one of the best sci-fi movies. You go back to it constantly. It is actually a action movie in sci-fi world. Predator is kind of a joke of a movie, and most people know that.
Time.
I think that was faster than 15. Okay.
Right on time. All right. Cody. Matthew, 15 seconds.
Watching the Predator try to hunt down and kill the members of Arnie's team is amazing. I think that Arnie puts in a better performance in this film than in any of his other films. This was one of the films that helped contribute to making Arnie one of the absolute superstars of the 80s. Sigourney Weaver was a star, no doubt about it, but Arnie was a superstar. He was a box office destroyer because he was in the better science fiction film, which was Predator. Predator is the more interesting villain, it's a more interesting story.
Time.
I'm gonna make this quick because
You gotta go.
Basically, what I hear from Cody more is basically more about Arnold Schwarzenegger and not the whole movie. So, basically, based on arguments, Cody gets a point for this.
What? Based on arguments? This is crap!
It's okay. You still have your chance to win.
What do you mean it was crap? You picked Predator. You wanted Aliens. You knew the right answer, and you're arguing. I actually knocked yours down numerous times. Sorry, son. Gosh.
All right.
You're gonna win.
Second speed question because we have to hurry because who is the best character in the MCU?
Iron Man. Go with Tony Stark.
Matthew.
Vision.
Okay, who say what?
I said Iron Man.
I said Vision. He said Iron Man.
Okay.
You said best character in the MCU?
Yeah, best character. All right, Cody.
Wait, Iron Man is by far the best character in the MCU. He's literally the linchpin in the entire MCU. He holds everything together, and he's got those wits that come in. He actually has those heart moments that bring people together. He literally brought Spider-Man under his wing. Vision is a literal one-trick pony in that entire movie. Age of Ultron, he introduced, and he was not great in that one. And in Civil War, we got to watch him make food with Scarlet Witch, and in Infinity War, guess what? He is literally just to take the stone out of his head. That's all he is. He adds nothing else to that entire story. Tony Stark is literally the guy that goes out and tries to bring the guys together to fight for his cause. Literally, he has the best emotion in the entire movie.
Time. Okay, Matthew, 30 seconds when you begin speaking.
Vision is the best character from a screenwriting standpoint. He starts out as an autonomous robot with very little emotion and feeling and ends up falling in love with another principal character in Scarlet Witch. He has an amazing story arc that leads to his tragic and untimely demise. Tony Stark has been relatively the same Tony Stark since the ending of Iron Man 1 when he changed from douchebag to more understanding superhero. I think it is ridiculous to argue that Vision is a, quote, one-trick pony. You are making the argument that you hate so much when you hate that people bring up the first and the pinnacle and the linchpin of a society or of a certain thing, because you argued against that during the Billy Joel playlist and you're arguing it against Forrest now.
All right, 15 seconds, Cody.
Vision did not start as his own being. He was actually Jarvis beforehand and had his own emotion, and him and Tony Stark had a relationship beforehand. Iron Man actually started as a douchebag and actually looking out for the greater good of the Avengers by doing whatever he sees fit after the vision that he saw that Scarlet Witch laid down on him. He has literally caused emotion, and he doesn't want the destruction, so he does everything in his power to stop it.
Matthew, your turn.
I think that Iron Man has been more of a one-trick pony since Iron Man 1. Yes, you are right. He started out as a douchebag in the first film, but then he changed and he has never gone back. Vision went through a 3-act arc. He went through being this robot who didn't understand the world around him to falling in love with Scarlet Witch and eventually being willing to sacrifice himself in order to save humanity.
Completely.
You guys are making this harder for me. All right. So Matthew has this. Matthew,
Yeah,
you got
I
this.
totally had it. I had it
How
from the
did you
second we
have
picked
it?
characters,
How did
buddy
you
boy.
have it?
I
That
had it
makes
from
no
the second
sense.
we picked characters.
Whatever.
I
Fine.
so disagree with this ruling.
You 100%
Just for the
Well,
disagree.
you're so wrong, Case. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you have to sell it whatever you want, but I'm sorry, but Vision is not. My counter.
Oh, I was
that,
proud
but
of
it's
the
okay.
argument. I don't think he's a better character, but I think I argued it better.
That's your call. Go ahead.
All right, so
No, it's
to me,
Subrath's
your
call.
question. All right. So, what is the best movie spun off from SNL, Saturday Night Live?
Blues Brothers.
Wayne's World.
Cody said
Okay,
Blues
I got it.
Brothers.
Yeah,
Matthew
Cody
said
starts
Wayne's
first.
World. Cody
Cody.
starts the argument.
All right. Blues Brothers is an all-around fun comedy, and it actually has some heart in that movie with Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi. Jim Belushi, whatever. It's with Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles. It's actually an all-around fun movie. Wayne's World gets very tiring over time. Besides that Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't think it's that funny of a movie. I know a lot of people hold on to it, but Mike Myers and Dana Carvey just battle back and forth with each other. I honestly believe Blues Brothers holds up over time and has some of the best songs and overall movie presence in that movie. I think Wayne's World is. I think it worked better on the show than it actually did in the
Time.
movie.
Time. Cody, I mean Matthew, 30 seconds.
I think as far as SNL adaptations go, Wayne's World is a better movie. I think that Wayne's World is an amazing comedy film that features Mike Myers and, why is his name escaping me? Dana Carvey playing the absolute best versions of the characters that they had played on Saturday Night Live. The Blues Brothers is an amazing film for a lot of different things, but it's not the fact that it was an SNL spinoff. I think that a better SNL spinoff was Wayne's World. I think that the Blues Brothers, they used to be a one-trick pony. They would come out, sing their song, and then go off stage. That was the entire crux of the skit. Wayne's World had an entire world around it. You could have different rock stars on it, or you could have them do the list, you could have them do the Schween, you could do anything you wanted with Wayne's World, and that's what they did in the movie. They hit the beats from the show.
Stop!
Guys, I'm on delay. I'm just going to tell you. I don't hear time until, 2 seconds later.
I can tell.
Cody, 15 seconds.
Blues Brothers actually carries a movie throughout with actually heart and soul. Wayne's World is just literally just a comedy that goes over and over with Schweem and stuff like that. It's not even that funny of a show. They actually work better. Blues Brother actually has heart with some great songs, great emotion. Even the chase scene, everything in that movie is fantastic. They actually have to deal with different circumstances than the Wayne's World actually do.
Matthew. 15 seconds.
I think that Wayne's World's movie attacks the sketch in a totally different way, although keeping faithful to the source material. The idea of Wayne's World starting out as a public access television show and eventually being bought out by a major label and being told to do all this different things is an amazing idea and an amazing story, because Wayne and Garth have to give up a piece of themselves to end up on the show that they're supposed to be on. Party on, Wayne, party on, Garth. It is a terrible recreation, but a great movie.
Time. Alright, so since this is the last question, I'm going to give you each 10 seconds to finish off. Cody, finish it off. Ten seconds.
I know. Wayne's World, literally all you remember mainly from that show is Bohemian Rhapsody. Blues Brothers actually has Soul Man, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, The Chase, The Difference with Race, the battling, playing in the bar.
Matthew.
I completely and wholeheartedly disagree. Wayne's World is one of the most quoted films of all time. People are constantly quoting things from that film, like the product placement scene. Wayne's World is an amazing film. No stairway, no stairway. In every Guitar Center in America, people say that all the time, because Wayne's World was a better film. It was a better SNL film.
Time. Once again, apologies to you, Kees. I know you did so. This is very tough. No matter where I go, both of you are going to be pissed at me.
That's a valid
Correct.
point. That's 100%.
Correct.
Because I won the second speed round, but it's okay.
No, you didn't.
100%. 100%. I literally countered your one trick pony argument. Your a whole comment. I literally counteracted it.
Cody should have had the aliens argument.
Thanks.
He did get
I
the
did.
aliens argument.
I did get
He got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost the
My
Iron Man
bad.
versus Vision.
And the winner, Cody. You got it.
Bullshit. Based on that argument, are you kidding me? Whatever.
We're definitely gonna have to go back in the ring and fight this.
I want Aaron. Bring me Aaron.
I'm sure everybody wants my head after this.
You're fine. Okay. Sweet.
Alright, so yeah, I mean it was a very intense match. I have very few time now left now, so you guys can plug in all you want. We're gonna end it there.
Wait,
Cody, where can people find you?
You can find me on Movie Battleground. Obviously, I host now. I'm an admin. You can find me on Full Metal. I'm an admin there. You can find me on some Take 3 stuff. You can find me whenever I do. I sometimes host in Worldwide Movie Games. I do a lot on the internet now. Again, I will be battling with Matt for a while. I feel like this was a tough round. I honestly believe that I actually lost the last round in the debate because I think Matt had a better argument.
You
than that.
lost hard.
But I honestly believe I won round two, a second speed round, which would have put me the winner anyways. But again, it's one ruling, it's one judge. It could have went either way. I respect Matt a lot. I think Matt's a great competitor. I hate that we had to go 1-1 because we're too heated. But yes, you can find me on that stuff. Done.
All right, Matthew, where can people find you?
I feel like Nick Scarpino right now. Anyway, you can find me on OTOYT Music on Twitter. You can find me at On the Tip of Your Tongue on all other social media platforms. You can find my single Better Half on Spotify. We just broke 8,000 plays. You guys are weird. And you can just find me as the head question writer of Jukebox Trivia and a weekly panelist on Late Night with Cake